Hello everyone, my name is Francis Donald and I'd like to welcome you to this Taurus Wesak pre-full moon webinar. I'll be sitting in for Michael Robbins, who is recovering nicely in Mesa, Arizona after a 5-day stay in the hospital. He asked me to tell you that he loves you and supports you at Wesak and that he is on the mend. The exact time of the Taurus full moon will be at 3:42 a.m. GMT on May 4th, and that's the evening of May 3rd in the U.S. We are in what's called the years of the Forerunner in these 10 years leading up to 2015. During this time, the three festivals and especially the Wesak take on a heightened importance, for it makes available to us the will aspect as it comes through Shambhala and Taurus's esoteric ruler Vulcan. The Buddha was himself a kind of forerunner in introducing the first part of the second ray to humanity. He had a second ray soul, as did the Christ. He introduced the path of wisdom in preparation for the Christ's revelation of the path of love. As he shines his light on humanity at the exact time of the full moon in Taurus, he again aids the return of the Christ. Let's start by taking a look at Taurus through the eyes of Jofra. We see in the lower figure a sleeping man, stressing the emphasis of the astral characteristics and as part of the lower aspects of Taurus, the desire nature and the astral plane. He seems to be asleep to his higher nature, caught in desire represented by the two children or Cupid-like figures playing just above his head. There you can see one playing with like a vulture, a helmet that has a vulture on it. Above them we see Venus as the light bearer. She sits on a white bull, which represents purified desire. The doves represent the spirit of peace, which is not, as DK points out, the sum total of an emotional or static calm, but rather transcends all astral influence. Because Taurus represents desire in all its phases, aspiration as well as sensual desire, it is, as DK says, the sign of the major life incentive. Thus, like Scorpio, the other horizontal arm of the fixed cross, it provides opportunity for aligning the astral with the Buddhic plane, the plane of air, hence the doves. DK tells us it might be here pointed out that just as the Aquarian age is coming into manifestation, bringing in its wake universal awareness and the new modes of expressing world synthesis, so humanity, the world disciple, is beginning to come under the influence of Taurus. It is this influence which will bring about at this time the reversal of the wheel of life for those in the human family who are ready, and their numbers are now very great. The great question is, will this Taurian influence, increased as it is by the incoming Shambhala forces, produce the floodlight of illumination, of which Taurus is the custodian, or will it simply foment desire, increase selfishness, and bring humanity to the fiery heights of self-interest instead of to the mountain of vision and initiation? DK asks this question. I think this book, Esoteric Astrology, came out in 1951, so that's 75 years ago, and we still haven't really answered this this question: which way will it go? The floodlight of illumination that DK speaks of is reflected in Taurus's keywords. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. This banner, which was designed by Tuya Robbins, illustrates Taurus's ruling planets. And so let's take a look. Venus is Taurus's exoteric ruler. DK tells us Venus connotes in our minds, even if we have only a glimmer of occult truth, that which is mental, that which concerns final sublimation, that which deals with sex, and that which must work out into symbolic expression upon the physical plane. These are the major concepts which enter our minds when Venus and Taurus are considered in unison. In other words, when we consider Venus as an exoteric ruler. Okay, Vulcan is the esoteric ruler and hierarchical ruler of Taurus, of course. Since Vulcan is a sacred first-rate planet, Taurus, and thus the Wesak festival, have a particularly powerful symbolic influence, made more so by the fact that Vulcan is always conjunct the sun. It's never more than 8.5 degrees away from the sun. And so Taurus is really the only sign whose esoteric ruler is always conjunct the sun. DK tells us Vulcan controls the anvil-like processes of time and strikes the blow which shapes the metal into that which is desired. And this is true today as never before. He it is who is forging the way for the coming avatar, who will, at the right moment, come forth embodying in himself the will of God, which is the divine will to good, to peace through understanding, and to right relations between men and between nations. That's from Esoteric Astrology. Okay, let's take a quick look at the astrological chart for the exact moment of the Wesak. Uranus in Aries is conjunct the full moon's ascendant, which squares Pluto in Capricorn, which to me suggests a forcing process. B.L. Allison, who is assisting me today, and she's a Morya Federation astrologer, emailed me her thoughts along with this chart. She says, as Taurus is about values, among other things, I am hoping that the square for this Wesak, and she's talking about this Pluto square, you see it there at the top of the chart, near the midheaven, is can help bring about right human values and transformational processes related to establishing right human relations, leading to the 4 freedoms for all. This is through the exoteric, the influence of Venus as exoteric ruler. Freedom to practice religion, freedom of speech and expression, freedom from want or need, and freedom from fear of aggression. Then she goes on to say, I know this is wishful thinking, but Pluto does dig deep and bring all the ugly to the surface so it can be dealt with. And that's the turmoil we see all around unfolding before our eyes. DK says, Taurus forges the instruments of constructive living or of destruction. It forges the chains which bind, or creates the key which unlocks the mystery of life. It is this forging process with its consequent clamor which is going on at this time in a most potent way. This is so relevant, it could have been written yesterday, as could this statement. He says, the Taurian influence must now be regarded as being of exceeding potency today. particularly from the angle of the subjective spiritual values. It is Taurus which is the ruler and guiding influence of that which is occurring everywhere. So I think, you know, we've had this Pluto square influence, Pluto square Uranus influence going on quite a bit this year, and I think in conjunction with the Wesak that we're really seeing a stepping up process. Because, you know, you have to remember that crisis always creates a point of tension, which in its turn creates opportunity for those who respond to the need. So it is the time for stepping more fully into our roles as disciples. This group gathered here today and at the moment of the full moon to meditate together. How many are we now, BL?
We have 70.
Great. 70 of us gathered here today in meditation. That's a powerful tool and can be part of this solution of transformation. Can help implement what DK calls the floodlight of illumination. This image, using a kind of faux realism, depicts the Wesak festival. Of course, there's many more people than this actually gathered at the Wesak, but it's representative of the geometrical formations that go on. I received, Kay Hannon sent me a document called the Wesak Legend, and it's beautiful and descriptive, especially for those of you who are not aware of this phenomena. So I'm going to read it for a little bit here. For a few minutes I'll be reading about this, basically describing this image that you see before you. It begins, at the north end of the valley is the sacred mountain, Kailash. And below it, on the valley floor, is a large altar rock. Upon it is a crystal bowl. Garlands of lotus flowers cover the rock. Pilgrims have journeyed from far and wide to join the celebrations, both physically and astrally, and assemble before the altar. In a clearing immediately before the altar, many great ones have gathered. As the beginning of the proceedings approach, a hush fills the valley. All eyes are drawn to the altar. Then the great lords, Christ, the Manu, and the Master R, appear in their etheric bodies and stand before the rock, facing north. As they stand there in deep silence, the masters and initiates gather behind them according to rank. At a given signal, the great ones form 3 concentric circles and start to chant. As the chanting deepens, the 3 visitors materialize fully, and in the center appears the glorious figure of the Christ, the Lord of peace and love. He stands there in a white robe, his hair falling down his shoulders in waves. In his hand he holds a rod of power. It has large diamond knobs on both ends of the rod, radiating a blue and orange aura of great beauty. The initiates in the 3 circles face him at the center, and as he becomes more visible, they bow to him and chant a mantra of salutation. Then the circle forms one circle with a cross in the center of which stands the Christ. Then a triangle within the circle is formed. At the apex stands the Christ facing the rock. Christ places the rod upon the rock. Then a triangle superimposed with 3 ovals interlocking at the center of the triangle where the Christ stands. Then a 6-pointed star. Then the star of Christ, the pentagram, and that's what I've chosen to depict in this image. The Christ stands at the apex near the rock, at the right point, the Manu, at the left point, the Master R. Great ones stand at the other 2 points, and one in the center. The chanting creates great tension in the gathering. Then the Christ, taking his rod from the rock, says, "Ready, Lord, come." Just a few seconds before the full moon, in the blue sky there appears a speck of light, which slowly comes closer and changes into the radiant figure of the Lord Gautama Buddha, sitting cross-legged in a pure yellow vestment and flooded with an awesome beauty of light and color, his right hand raised in blessing. When he reaches a point above the rock, the Great Invocation is sounded by the Christ, and all present fall in prostration, touching their foreheads to the earth. This Great Invocation creates a stupendous current of energy which passes through the hearts of all and reaches to God. This is the most sacred moment of the year, when humanity and divinity make a contact. At the exact time of the full moon, the Buddha passes to Christ the energy of the first ray, which is received by Christ and changed into the will to good. The forces of enlightenment, the will and freedom, flood the higher sphere of our planet and charge all who can function on those levels. It is an opportunity to sweep away the accumulations of our superstitions, prejudices, glamours, illusions, ignorance, pride, greed, and vanities, thus releasing the imprisoned spiritual spark within us, and opening our eyes to the vision that essentially we are ever-growing suns. That's suns with a U, suns. Christ takes the bowl and raises it over his head, then replaces it on the rock. The great ones chant sacred hymns. Buddha blesses the crowd and slowly disappears into space. Christ distributes the blessed water to all. Then the great ones depart. Okay. On that note, let's move into the meditation. I'd like to start with an Om just to clear the atmosphere. So sound an Om silently, or no, you can sound it loud. It just won't be broadcast. Okay. The days preceding the full moon are days of preparation, detachment, and renunciation. And the keywords are confidence, aspiration, and dedication. The day of the full moon, which is either the 3rd or 4th, depending where you are, is the day of safeguarding. And the keywords are receiving and holding. And then the following days, 3 days following, are the days of distribution. And the keywords are registration, sense of expectancy, and belief. So if you could find a way to move into a meditative posture and sit erectly, and we'll begin the meditation. Withdraw your consciousness from the personality and its vehicles and enter deeply into the presence of the soul on the higher mental plane. Feel yourself established as a soul within the field of light, love, and spiritual power. Now, identified with your soul, merge as a soul into a deep sense of the group soul. Imagine this group of 70 as a group soul. So imaginatively and visually, using your visual capabilities, imagine your individual soul merging into this group soul. Now, as one being, let's imaginatively unite in soul with all the spiritually minded people of the world and with the men and women of goodwill. Now, from this unified perspective, visualize our group soul merging into the one soul of humanity. And as you do so, realize that there is no my soul and thy soul. This leads to an understanding that not is, but me. Okay, now imagine a potent point of tension fed by the will aspect of the soul, gathered at the mental unit and forming the foundation of the antarana. Now, imaginatively visualize your dual-colored individual antarana, or rainbow bridge, connecting your lower mind, centered in the mental unit, with the monastic permanent atom, and subsequently with the Buddhic and Atmic permanent atoms of the spiritual triad. And you'll be using in your dual colors, you'll be using your the colors associated with the 7 rays, which are red for the first ray, indigo for the second, green for the third, yellow for the fourth, orange for the fifth, and silvery rose or light blue for the sixth, and violet for the seventh. Now imagine your individual antarana merging with the group antarana, which is colored with all the 7 colors, but primarily with the deep indigo blue of the second ray. Both reaching into the realms of the spiritual triad. As you visualize this, imagine your own dual-colored antarana weaving through and amidst the group antarana. Now attempt to deeply feel this connection, the connection between your individual antarana and the group. Inwardly, and in continued identification with the group soul, affirm the great word of power, I see the greatest light, as you imaginatively project a line of vivid, living, white light up into the triadal realms, or inward into the triadal realms, along or across the individual and group antakaranas. Now fully aligned with the group and with the group antakarana, attempt to feel the presence of the Great White Brotherhood, the Lodge of Masters, the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. Okay, now we'll offer our salutations to the masters and to the head of the hierarchy, the Christ, and especially to the Buddha. We'll do this through 3 ohms. Salutations to the Buddha, the Lord of light and wisdom. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely. Salutations to Master Morya. Salutations to Master Kuthumi. Salutations to Master Dwal Kul. Salutations to your own master as you conceive him to be. Salutations to the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. Now imaginatively raise your thoughts to Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known, and with deepest reverence and in all humility, attempt, identified as the group soul, to attune with the all-pervading presence of Sanat Kumara, standing at the center of Shambhala. Sound a long, silent Om as you imagine this group imbued with his energy. Shambhala is the planetary center through which the energies of the constellations and the planets initially enter according to the law of assembly, especially at times like these, at full moon opportunities, to be distributed to all sentient beings upon the earth. Okay, now imaginatively raise your consciousness towards the two planetary rulers of the constellation Taurus. Venus, the exoteric ruler, conveying the light and love of the soul, and Vulcan, both the esoteric and hierarchical ruler, conveying both the will of the soul and, hierarchically, the greater spiritual will of the Atmic plane. So raise your consciousness towards these two great ruling planets. Let's ponder first on the power of Venus in relation to Taurus. Venus conveying the beauteous light of the soul, the light of the solar angel, illuminating the consciousness with love, wisdom, and stimulating higher manas so that it may be sensitive to buddhi. In silence, open your consciousness imaginatively to impressions born upon the Venusian stream of energy. If you would like, you can visualize the astrological glyph of Venus, which is the circle and a cross attached below it. And also the esoteric color of the fifth ray, which is indigo blue. Of course, it's also the major color of the second ray. Ask yourselves, what in this group would most be filled by the Venusian qualities? And then imagine ourselves as a group imbued with these divine qualities of Venus. Even as you feel this sense of being imbued, and if you'd like, you can visualize the color indigo blue. Imagine yourself radiating this force, this light, out to other groups. Okay, now let's move our attention to Vulcan, to the power of Vulcan, which conveys the will of the soul to grip the personality and bend that personality to its will. This is Hephaestus, the great forger, forging in the new vehicle and purging it of its impurities. And on hierarchical levels, this forging is the adamantine spiritual will of Atma, the highest aspect of the spiritual triad. So visualize this using the first ray color of red, this planetary stream connecting our group antarana through Shambhala towards the sun to this potent point of will, the esoteric ruler of Taurus. Now open your consciousness imaginatively to impressions that you receive from this Vulcanian stream of energy. You can visualize the astrological glyph of Vulcan, which is the down-pointing arrow, and that undefinable esoteric red of the first ray. So what is it in this group that is most in need of these Vulcanian qualities? When you have some sense of this, visualize the group as a whole imbued with the divine qualities of Vulcan. And even as you receive that energy, let it pass through you and us as a group and transmit those qualities out to other groups and to all of humankind. Now, as a group, let's raise our group consciousness, at least imaginatively, to the level of the solar logos, who expresses its essence through our sun and through the entire solar system. Attempt to feel that great second ray of the solar logos, the God of love, wisdom, pouring through all the planets into Shambhala and through every monad, soul, and personality on our planet. Now let us collectively focus our attention on the constellation Taurus, radiating the, quote, penetrating light of the path. This is a beam of light streaming forth from the point in Aries and revealing the area of light control. Open yourself as one with this group to the energy quality of Taurus, attempting to realize its profound relationship to the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, and via Venus and Vulcan to the fifth and first rays respectively. If the first, fourth, or fifth rays appear in your own ray makeup and you know what where they appear, you can attempt to feel them in that body or in the soul. While staying focused on this energy of Taurus, realize the connection of this energy to the forces of enlightenment, which bring about the eventual revelation of the purpose and plan of our planetary logos and the illumination of the human consciousness. Now let us ponder deeply on the esoteric mantra for Taurus, I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. And attempt to grasp its esoteric meaning and significance. What would be the nature of illumination on the higher planes? What is the very nature of light on these higher planes? I see. And when the eye, of course the eye being the single eye, the ajna center, the third eye, when the eye is opened, all is illumined. I see. And when the eye is opened, all is illumined. Okay, as we approach the Wesak, there will be an intensification as the Great Ones concentrate their energies in invocation towards Shambhala. And so while preserving our attunement to the higher worlds, let's imaginatively see the masters in subtle form within the Wesak Valley, on the great rock, which serves as a platform for the invocation of the Buddha. Imagine ourselves as in this illustration, on the periphery of the grouping of masters, yet within their presence as they prepare for the moment of the Buddha's appearance. Okay, we'll hold this sense of expectancy, which is one of the key words, as a group until the time of the full moon on the periphery, as illustrated here. And then at the time of the full moon, you can imagine the appearance of the Lord Maitreya and of the Buddha. So, as one with the energies of the planes that extend up to the level of the constellation Taurus, let's follow these downflow of this energy towards our group, enlivening our group antarana. First, from the constellation Taurus, visualize our group antarana receiving the downflowing energy of Taurus through the solar logos at the center of the solar system, through the planets Venus and Vulcan, into Shambhala, and thus through each of our individual monads and all those monads associated with this group. Then into the hierarchy, through the great Lord, the Christ, and into and through the ashram with which you believe yourself to be increasingly associated with, and thus through your soul and the group's soul, and out to your co-workers and family, and into your spiritualized personality and all associated spiritualized personalities. Now, while preserving the alignments that we've built in this meditation, visualize the world situation and imagine ways in which the energies of Taurus, stimulating the forces of enlightenment, can be applied for the upliftment and redemption of humanity and the planet in accordance with the divine plan. If you choose, you can visualize a particular situation on the planet, a particular need, and imagine yourself as a representative as one with this group, pouring energy into that situation. As you do this, and you can move from one situation to another if you'd like, visualize the energies of Taurus solving at least one important problem of humanity or problem of the planet. Actually visualize what it would look like if the situation that you're imagining were solved. How would it play out? If you've solved one or more planetary problems, feel free to move on to the next one. And this all during the period of this Taurus and Wesak festival. You can use this part of the meditation in your daily meditation to visualize solutions using the enlightened energy that streams through the Lord Maitreya and the Buddha. Okay, now imbued with the energies bestowed upon us as a group at this period of the Taurus full moon, with hands upraised, send your blessings into humanity and into its consciousness so that it may rise to its new spiritual potentials as is promised by the divine plan. Visualize the change that this blessing creates. Okay, now while preserving the high alignment that we've created, and by reaffirming them in each of our imaginations, let us quietly and rhythmically sound the Great Invocation, as if in unison with the Christ, the masters of the wisdom, and the members of this group. And we'll pause between each verse. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. from the point of love within the heart of God. Let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. And from that center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, let us sound the Om 3 times together, and as we do so, visualize the spreading of light, love, and power to all humanity, to all the kingdoms of nature, and to the planet as a unity. Do this from within the group identity. Oh.